Hello. Today, I'm going to be going over First Class Requirement 3C and teaching you how to tie the square lashing, the shear lashing, and the diagonal lashing. We're going to start off with, in my opinion, the simpler lashing, the square lashing. Now, this is what you'll need to tie a square lashing. You got your nice hard ground, some rope, and 2 poles. So now I'm going to show you how to tie the square lashing. So first of all, you're going to take one of your poles and you're going to start your lashing, or the square lashing, with a clove hitch. Once you have your clove hitch, you're going to start wrapping. And that looks like this. You're going to kind of go in like a box pattern to where you're practically going under and then over. Once again, under and then over. So that is practically one wrap around the whole entire lashing. But what you want to make sure so that lashing stays after you're done is once you get it over the top part, you want to pull it as tight as you can. So in the end, it's not going to wiggle. And you're going to want to do this about 3 to 4 times. Making sure to pull tightly every single chance you get. Now, what we're gonna do is something called a frap. And you're gonna take it, and you're practically gonna go around the inside, just to make sure this part and the square lashing doesn't wiggle. Once you have it going around, you wanna make sure to pull, once again, tightly as possible. This time, you're also gonna do it a couple times. And usually, when you're making any kind of lashing, you usually have someone's help, but it is easily done by yourself, as you can see. Then, once you're done, like all lashings except for one, you're going to end the lashing with a clove hitch. Clove hitch. Now, you got something called the square lashing. Now, we're going to go on to the shear lashing. It is also fairly simple. Now, the shear lashing is a lot similar to the tripod lashing, except it only uses 2 poles instead of 3. Shear lashing, one of its uses is to help start an A-frame. Now, this is what you'll need for a shear lashing. This time, you need 2 poles, a nice hard ground, and a decently sized piece of rope. Is the shear lashing, where you combined 2 or more poles using a figure-8 pattern. So first, like any lashing, except for the diagonal lashing, we're going to start off with a clove hitch. Then, in a figure-8 pattern, going around the poles, we are going to start lashing. So we're going to end up with something like this as our first lashing. But like the square lashing, we want it to be as tight as possible. We want the wrap to be as tight as possible. Then, we're going to continue the figure-8 pattern around 3 to 4 times. Just like this. Once again, making sure to keep everything tight. Next, after we finish wrapping, we're gonna do the frapping. And it looks a little something like this. You're just gonna go around the wraps you just did, pulling tightly, so you get something that looks like this. And you're gonna do this a couple times as well. And then once you're done, you're gonna make the clove hitch. And there's your clove hitch. Now here's the shear lashing. Now, for the final lashing we're gonna be talking about, the diagonal lashing. Now, the diagonal lashing looks fairly similar to the square lashing, but it's tied and started a different way. Now, for the diagonal lashing, it's a little bit different. Instead of a nice hard ground, some rope, and a pole, you need a nice hard ground, some rope, and 2 poles. So now, we're gonna be tying diagonal lashing. Now, unlike all the other lashings, we're gonna start it off with a timber hitch. Remember the timber hitch. Now we're going to start the wrapping. Now first of all, you may be thinking, this looks almost exactly like the square lashing, except for the fact that we started with the timber hitch instead of a clove hitch. But as in the name diagonal lashing suggests, we're going to be wrapping diagonally. Taking your rope with you, we're going to go diagonally. Not only making sure to get one side, but also the other side as well. Once again, making sure to tie it as tight as possible. And once you've done both sides a couple of times, we're going to be doing the fraps. Now, it's similar to the square lashing with the fraps, in that we're going around all of the wraps. Making sure to tie everything as tightly as possible. And now that we've done frapping, we're going to tie a timber hitch. There you have it. You have your diagonal lashing. Thanks for watching, and don't miss out on the next video that will cover First Class Requirement 3D.